Timer's been wrong for the last 2
Cool.
minutes.
Oh, thank God you got all of that.
Yeah. That's the behind the
Blooper
scenes.
City, right?
Behind the scenes.
Okay. Well, hi everybody. I'm Julia. If I don't know you, but I think I know all of you anyway. And thank you, Joshua, for coming and singing for us. That was awesome.
Thanks for having me.
It's our
Yeah.
pleasure. Yeah. So, what got you started in making music?
Started
Where did it
making
all come from?
music. Where did it come from? Well, I've always loved music since I can remember. Very early in my life, I distinctly remember Michael Jackson, Tchaikovsky, and an 80s reggae UK band called Musical Youth. It's kind of like being my sort of early life influences. And throughout my childhood, I would dabble with music. The first instrument I learned how to play was the flute. But the moment that I realized I wanted to make music, I was at a school talent show, and I was watching this girl play the piano and sing. And for some reason in my mind, I was like, I could do that. And so I did. And then my sophomore year of high school, I was in the musical Hair. And that same year, DAWs, which is digital audio workstation, started to come out. Specifically, Fruity Loops, the demo version. And I started producing. I couldn't afford the real version at the time, so I would produce the beats, and you couldn't save them unless you had the real version. So I would spend an hour to two making the beat, and I would have to export it, and that would be the beat forever. And then that year, I started putting on shows and rapping over my beats.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, because I've been listening to your last release, The Cuts, on Spotify this week, and I definitely noticed that you seem to have a very diverse set of influences that all come together on the album. So it sounds like, yes, you definitely had a lot of different influences from your childhood. Can you give us a little bit of context? Like, where did you grow up?
So I grew up mainly in Chicago. I moved here when I was 9 years old, and then I departed when I was 23, I believe, and then I started my career in New York.
All right, because I know that you've moved around a bit, and to cities that have very distinctive musical scenes and very famous music scenes. Like, has that influenced the trajectory of your musical life?
Definitely. New York, I don't think so much, but Atlanta definitely has a culture and a scene and a vibe to it, which definitely impacted and played a part in the writing and producing of Wind It Up. Yeah.
When did you start writing that song?
Wind It Up, I started writing it, this is 2019, so 2017.
Okay.
Is when I wrote it, and then I produced it, and then I actually recorded the vocals in Chicago.
Oh, right. Yeah, and you were working with Kevin Ford.
Yeah, shout out to Kevin Ford, Kev Cuts.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's a great track. We've definitely been listening to it a lot this week. Yeah, so it does seem like an evolution has happened between your last release, The Cuts, and Wind It Up. Like, can you tell us a little bit about your musical?
Yeah, for me, The Cuts is so ancient. it really is. I originally wrote The Cuts, I think, in 2010, and then I released it to the world in 2015. But since then, I've been constantly producing and writing, and I don't think I'm alone in this. I think a lot of artists, we create art, and it's never to our liking or to our standard.
Yeah. You're always your own toughest
critic.
critic.
But at the same time, sometimes you just make shitty music. Sometimes it just doesn't come out good. And that's okay as well. I think that's why it's really great, especially now with the internet, to kind of just test songs and see how the general public responds to that. yeah, like there's projects that I have that I probably would never release.
Oh, really?
'cause
Just keep that.
I just cringe at them, like when I
Oh.
listen to them. So for me, it's always about pushing it forward, especially sonically, and just the mixing and mastering is kind of where the magic takes place. I mean, one could argue say it takes place throughout the whole process, but
Right.
I feel like the cohesiveness happens through the mixing and mastering.
Yeah, definitely. How do you approach writing a song? Like how?
Originally, like, this is gonna kind of sound weird, but it would be like beamed down to me. Like I would feel this very specific energy come over my body, and I'd be like, a song's coming. and I was like, all right, let's find something to write it down with. But a majority of the time, the whole song would come, like the instrumental, the beat, the lyrics, all of it at one time, and I would just get it out as best as I could. Now I've actually started to study like the process of writing and writing songs and the different, formulas of hit songs, and just trying to take my craft to a higher level, hopefully. But yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I was reading an article this week that was about like how popular music is crafted,
Mm-hmm.
and like how contemporary music right now often will draw on lots of different types of popular music. You might have a hip hop beat, and then they add this artist, this rap artist, and this vocalist, and then put an EDM drop in it.
Yeah.
And then you've got a hit song. And the criticism of that, I guess, by some people is that it is inauthentic. It's just like a formula to create a hit song. But listening to your song, Wind It Up, it does have that eclectic way of drawing on different popular genres and putting them together, but it feels totally natural, and it feels like a natural progression from the cuts. Like, is authenticity something that you think about or worry about, or like do you think about how you're putting different things together, or is it just you?
I think it's all subjective. Like, if you set out to make a hit and that's the formula to make a hit, then it's authentic. And, there's a lot of artists like, I'll never sell out, this, that, and the third. And that's authentic to I used to be that artist, like, I'll never sell out. It's all about my artistry. My art is great. Blah, blah. But like, at the end of the day, it's not just about you. It's about the collective, the audience, the people that resonate with what you're doing. And I feel like the more that you become selfless in that pursuit, the more expansive your artistry becomes.
Yeah, I guess
That
it's a little
makes
bit
sense.
about having a bit of humility and listening, taking feedback from the people that are listening to you.
Yeah, like with Wind It Up, I wanted to write a hit because a lot of artists will be like, it's all manufactured, it's easy. But if that's the case, then
How come
just go write a hit.
Yeah.
Like, write a hit and prove to yourself how easy it is.
Right.
So I wanted to take on that challenge.
Well, it's a great effort. I mean, there's so much great stuff happening in that song. I really, I'm rooting for you for it to become a hit.
Thank you, that means a lot to me.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I guess, so I've been listening to that song and the cuts a lot this week. And one thing that I really enjoyed about your last release is the way your lyrics kind of zoom out and give us your perspective on society and politics, but then you also will zoom in and share a very intimate moment from a personal relationship. How do you approach lyric writing?
Originally, a hint of poeticness.
Sure.
If that's the word, because it is now. We're coining.
Poeticity.
Yeah, there we go. So that would originally, but I think the greatest thing is just truth and authenticity, which is subject to change. Like, my truths when I wrote the cuts may or may not be valid to this day through the evolution of myself. But at the time, those were my truths. And so it's about, I guess, some type of way of getting that out eloquently, if that makes any sense. Yeah.
Definitely. So looking towards the future, do you have any plans in the works? Is there gonna be an album that surrounds Wind It Up, or are you looking more at releasing singles, or?
Yeah, right now, which could change tomorrow, but right now I'm more interested in kind of just doing singles, since we kind of live in a singles-driven generation. People are kind of creating their own playlists around the music that they like. So I would like to adapt with that. And if I did put out like a full-length project or album, I'm interested in doing more of a collaboration track of like Chicago's finest and kind of curating that.
Fantastic. Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's something that our band thinks about a lot. Is, do we need to wait until we have a collection of 12 songs and then sit down and make a whole album, or do we just put it out into the world as it comes? And I really like that because it feels very organic, and you can just share what you're producing as you're doing it, and you don't have this buildup of like, I don't know, a year's time where you're putting something together. Do we have any questions from the audience? Does anybody have anything that they would like to ask?
Tell us about your songwriting process. Like, how do you come up with lyrics and melody, and in what order?
Sure. So with my songwriting process, it varies. Oftentimes I'll hear some type of melody, and then I will, originally I would write it out, and usually if it's a good song to me, it will stick, and I oftentimes will never have to go back to what I've written down. It's just like automatically memorized. I was gonna say mesmerized, but that's not the word.
Yeah, you need music. It drives you like I'm off the floor.
Yeah, so oftentimes it'll come all together. Wind It Up was a little differently. I was in production mode, so I was producing a lot, and not necessarily for myself. And I was like, I like this beat. This is mine. So I grabbed it, and then I was studying Bruno Mars at the time, and I was reading this book called The Billboard Guide to Writing and Producing Hits That Sell. And I remember reading that Uptown Funk took them a year to write, just like one song. And something that I've been guilty of is being a little bit too self-satisfied just at jump. Like, yeah, that's good. Set it and forget it. Let's move on. So I wanted to take more time crafting a song and redrafting and going back. So with Wind It Up, I did that. And then I was listening to Jaden Smith's album, and I know a lot of the younger generations, now they'll just go and they'll just do stream of conscious into the microphone as the beat is playing. So I started playing around with that a little bit as well.
And then does that end up being like a finished product, or do you go, oh, I like that phrase that I use, I'm going to use that and build that into something else?
Yeah, so like I'll do like stream of conscious, and I'll be like, that's garbage, let's just keep going. And then again, through the repetition, things start to stick. Mm-hmm. And those are the things I tend to be like, okay, we'll keep that.
Awesome. Thank you for that question. That was illuminating. Does anybody else have anything that they want to ask about?
Do you have, like, what are your greatest non-musical influences? Like, what do you feel like inspires you just, like, in your life?
In my life?
Yeah.
I don't know if we have enough time. Life itself, honestly. I love demystifying processes of anything. Like, it doesn't have to be music. It could be marketing. It could be political campaigns. It could be food. just systems in general. I'm a Taoist, so that kind of spiritually centers me. And to me, out of all of the religions or spiritualities or philosophies that I've studied, that's the one that resonates the most with me. So I try to delve deeper into that. What else? I'm an actor by profession and trade, so a lot of that influences me. I read books. I like to read a lot of books. Generally on average 3 to 5 books a month. So that gives me a lot of different ideas. If anything, I have to like stop myself and be like, hey, you're getting way too much information and you're not utilizing or implementing any of it. So
you're reading like nonfiction or
so for entertainment purposes I don't read. I only usually read for practical purposes. I like things visual for entertainment. I love two of my favorite shows right now would be New Girl is a guilty pleasure that I find myself constantly going back to. I just finished Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I like comedies because life sometimes is stressful enough, so I don't want to add more stress to my like downtime. I don't want to come home and like feel my emotions all the time. That's like a grab bag for. I'm sure there's more, but that's what's present in my mind today. I love Killer Mike's new show. I think it's one of the most brilliant shows out there right now. Trigger warning with Killer Mike. It's brilliant.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out. I was gonna ask you because I cyber stalked you this week, and I saw on your Instagram that you're a certified life coach.
Yeah, that happens.
Is that something that you are actively doing?
Yeah, I have clients currently.
Wow,
Mm-hmm.
fantastic.
Yeah, so
do you like have to coach yourself?
Well, daily. Yeah. You have to coach yourself. I'm certified, so I went through a certain process and procedure to do that as well.
Really interesting. I after I saw that, I texted Bianca that produces this. I was like, "Did you know that Joshua was a certified life coach?" And she was like, "What does that mean?" I was like, "I don't know, but I'm listening to his album right now, and I feel like it's coaching me through my morning." So I was wondering, like, do you see the life coaching and your music and your acting, do you see them as intertwined or do you see them as separate?
I don't see any, like, honestly, I don't see any separations in life. Like, everything to me is interconnected, and the way my brain works is I see the connections. But ultimately, what I'm starting to envision is kind of a whole lifestyle of things that I'm interested in and passionate about, and creating a world that people can partake in, where it's not just like it has to be this way or it has to be that way, but kind of creating something brand new.
Yeah, I feel like I've noticed this common thread in your work, and that's that it is very reflective and it's looking for a way forward. And yeah, that feels very uplifting. So thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions or anything?
I want to ask one, just out of curiosity. So you were trying to get a hit song, right? And you said in many ways, previously you were maybe focusing on, this is my craft, that's what I do, and then opened up into engaging with the audience to understand like what works for them. What's your views around how you could do that differently? Because it feels to me right now you basically need to create a hit song, on your own. Then you put it on the social media, and then it works or it doesn't. And I haven't seen a cycle where you can like put a song that's saying, well, it's just a draft, and almost saying a different version of that song until it gets to the hit song. Have you thought about ways maybe to use social media? I'm just curious around, being an artist trying to like get to that hit song, and right now you're kind of like you're in your labs experimenting, trying to get to that formula, but in a way the audience is there, and I wonder if there is a one who can engage them.
I mean, I think all of life is marketing to some degree. like even on an interpersonal level. So to answer your question, I think it's marketing, is getting it in front of as many people as possible and coming up with creative ways to engage them. And then now with the kind of terrain that we're in, is just putting out content and putting out value that might not directly seem like it's attached to the music, but really being your authentic self in order for people to be like, I like this guy. I don't know what he's about, but okay, he has this song, I'm gonna check it out. And it could be from any topic. It doesn't have to be music, but in my own journey, I've noticed that that's been working a lot for people, of just like opening themselves up and just being themselves and putting themselves out there for the world to judge them. And then like a Rihanna song, millions are pumped into that. Literally millions of dollars into one song, one campaign. So you know, sometimes with money you can go a lot further, or at least get a lot more attention.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's right now I'm trying to create space to focus on that more. Yes.
So when you get stuck either in the creative process or even outside of music or whatnot, what do you do to help you get unstuck?
I don't get stuck. I don't believe that that's a thing. It's either shitty or it's good, which is still subjective, but there's always something there. Like you're a reservoir of infinite possibilities. So I just have never accepted writer's block as a reality.
Is that the life coach talking?
Maybe, I don't know which hat is on. But yeah, not me personally.
Do you feel like you can't just sit and wait for inspiration to strike? It has to be something that if you're actively working, then something will start to come. It's like your stream of consciousness thing. Like you just sit down and do it.
I feel like there are definitely moments of potency that are more palpable. Like the energy's like, ooh, this is something real magical. But at the same time, if you sit there, like force yourself to sit there and create something will come out. I don't think force is the way to do it. I think meditation might be of just kind of seeing what's already living there and exploring that.
Any other questions?
If life is marketing, what is your brand in 3 words? Or more if you want.
My brand is, me personally, is the cosmic man that resides in the Astro Lounge. That's my brand.
I don't know what it means, but it sounds enticing. And I guess that's the point.
That's the point.
If somebody needs life coaching lessons, resides to your right. Buy in. I have a question. So you mentioned about like Rihanna and the song being maybe having millions of dollars behind it, and something struck me, right? I mean, we don't have that access, not all of us. But have you ever approached it from yourself as more of like a startup mentality and getting VC funding and saying like, okay, if it's going to take millions of dollars to get my hit, and here's my package of goods, right? I've done it over here in another craft. I'm looking to expand to this craft. Would you back me with maybe $1 million and just do like a startup model and get through a funding gate to become part of that?
I have thought about that. When I was in New York, I was actually taking meetings with different lawyers and businessmen, and going that route. I've been under 360 contracts before. I guess now, I guess maybe always, I'm not closed off to it. It's just how much of myself am I willing to sell? Because an investment is looking for a return, whereas I'm much more interested in sponsorships and endorsements, and partnerships and mergers than necessarily investments per se. But I'm always open to having conversations.
Yeah, I mean, the sponsorship model, I mean, they're also looking for a return. It's just slightly different.
Right, it's not monetary, it's engagements.
Yeah, engagement, but then it can lead to monetary and much
for them.
in some way.
Yeah.
Just wondering, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I love business and entrepreneurship. It's one of the other things that I draw inspiration from.
That's really important in this field.
Oh yes.
A lot of us do not have that inspiration. It makes things difficult.
I understand that. A lot of artists just want to create the art.
Yeah. And then you're kind of like, well, I've created.
Guess I'll go create more. But yeah.
Anybody else?
Sure. If you're stuck on a desert island, you can only pick a few albums to listen to for the rest of your life. Which ones would you pick?
Yikes. So I have to pick Van Hunt by Van Hunt, just because that album really shaped me when I was coming into my own musical right. Oh man, I would have to pick a Prince album, but I don't know which one. So a Prince album, probably like maybe the Genius album from Ray Charles. So that's 3. How many do I get? 5? As many as I want. Well, 3 hours later.
The plane that you were on was transporting albums.
Right, it's just like a cargo plane of albums.
Yeah.
That's okay. What other albums? I mean, I have a soft spot for Tupac. So one of his albums, I don't know which one, because there's like pros and cons to a lot of them. DMX's first album, I'll take that. I'll definitely take that. We got to get a Jay-Z album. It would be a coin toss between Blueprint and 444.
So what would you use him for in the desert island? Like, I mean, I thought about it like, I need one to build my cabin.
Right.
And to get ready to go fishing.
Right.
So is that like Jay-Z to get ready to go fishing?
Ready to go fishing. Jay-Z's when I gotta put like the mental boss cap on to like get the monkeys to build my.
I used to listen to Jay-Z before I go into meetings at State Farm with this other guy I used to work with. Just like, all right, we gotta get ready.
Yeah, put you in that mental.